Hello and welcome to True Faith's Full-Time Whistle with me, Adam. What a result at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm going to do my best to try and analyse how the hell we've come away there from Tottenham's new stadium with all 3 points. Champions League finalists last season, Harry Kane who scored a brace in their last home game, and he barely got a touch of the ball. I mean, the most immediate significant news from this before the game was the fact that the formation had changed, that we had reverted back to the Rafa formation, which I'm going to call it the Rafa formation because that's exactly what it is. And suddenly it was almost like this defensive muscle memory kicked in for everybody, and suddenly the organisation from last season was back. It was like flipping a light switch. It was almost as simple as that. It's almost as if, you know, in his first 2 games, Bruce was almost trying too hard to make too many changes too quickly. You know, as everyone likes to remind us, Bruce has only been here for a month. So why was he trying to be too ambitious with trying to stamp his authority on a team that he knew nothing about? Absolutely nothing about, and in a league he knows nothing about. 4 years after being relegated. So, you know, to go back to a formation where we might actually be able to cause a threat on the break, which hasn't been the case, by the way, the last couple of games. Suddenly we had width going forward, and suddenly you don't just have Almiron trying to cover every blade of grass either side of Joelinton and deeper in between the lines between the attack and midfield. You know, Shelby was dropped in for Alain Saint-Maximin, who unfortunately got injured. He was touch and go. He'd obviously worked really hard to try and get fit for this one. But even when Atsu came on, and that was a blow, because I'd really like to have seen how Saint-Maximin fared in the, you know, the 5-2-3 that we were used to playing last season. And but I felt that, you know, Almiron wasn't so isolated. Joelinton's hold-up play was a lot better today. It really was. And, you know, it was the substitute Atsu who, you know, it was almost like they didn't see him as a threat, which probably, you know, if they'd been studying Atsu for the last couple of seasons, would be forgiven for thinking that he isn't that much of a threat. However, there are occasional games, Atsu, where he springs into life, and this was one of them. His assist for Joelinton goal, I mean, he wasn't closed down, and Musa Sissoko was the Spurs player who got anywhere near him. But it was a perfectly chipped little ball into the centre of, you know, the edge of the box in the centre. He kept on side Joelinton. His first touch was heavy Joelinton onto his left foot, and he almost seemed to take an age to wind up to strike it. And defender had sort of slid across trying to block it, but Big Joe just got his shot away in time. It's too close to Lloris to trouble him, and it's 1-0, and away fans go into raptures. Spurs can't quite believe it, but, you know, we were the ones who were imposing ourselves in an attacking sense in the early parts of the game. Longstaff had previously just had a long-range shot that was, you know, tipped over by Lloris, and we were the ones asking questions of the Spurs defence rather than the other way around. Now Kane was completely isolated and marked out the game, and he was struggling to get any touches in the box at all. In fact, the second half, I can barely remember any meaningful touches from the England centre forward. So it was almost, like I said, it was almost like we've changed formation to what it was. Suddenly everybody knows their roles and responsibilities. Everyone knows their positioning. I did notice in a couple of times where, you know, the wingers like Almiron and Atsu had dropped in to double up on, you know, when defending, to double up on sort of any wingers and attacking fullbacks. I did notice there was a lot of pointing, well, you go there, and no, you're supposed to follow there. So there are still teething problems in terms of tracking men and where they're supposed to sit. But you've got to think, and look, I know there's going to be a load of people saying, oh, well, you give Rafa Benitez this credit, you don't give Bruce the credit when he wins a game, and I will give Bruce credit. I give Bruce credit for reverting back to the formation that worked last season. You could say, anybody could say, well, no, but Bruce is the head coach, so he's coached them into defending this way. He hasn't. Nobody can turn a team that defended like they did against Norwich into the team that defends this well against Spurs, who are almost a cert for the top 3 this season, in a week. Nobody, not even Rafa Benitez, can make that transition, that turnaround in a week. The only explanation is that they've reverted back to Rafa's tactics from last season, which was drilled into them all season. They knew exactly what they were doing, where they were supposed to go, and our ability to defend as a unit was evident. We had Spurs trying to change channels, trying to just spray it across to the wing, because we kept shutting them out. And the work rate of the likes of Almiron to get back. I thought Kraft had a lot more of a solid game. Longstaff, I thought, was really, really good today. Joelinton, as I said, his hold-up play far improved from the game at Norwich. However, it was probably because he just had a lot more support around him. Now, when we went 1-0 up, you're thinking, right, we're still capable of losing 4-1 here. Very, very capable. But thankfully, it didn't happen. I mean, even looking at the stats overall, we deserved that, and Shea had an unbelievable game at the back. There was a tackle from Lamela in that. I think it was in the second half. It was in the second half where Shea just got it, stretched a foot out, and blocked a shot where Lamela had a free shot on goal. It was unbelievable defending, but we were. Dummett was throwing his body in the way. Lascelles he held off injured as well. A couple of injuries which are, even Joelinton, he thought he might have done his groin, so that we're battered and bruised after this victory, but hell, it was worth it. And the confidence that they're going to have, the confidence that Joelinton's going to have going into that Watford game now, he's got his first goal under the belt. Atsu's assist was brilliant. Atsu, I thought was pretty decent when he came on as well. Like I say, we did look good on the break, but Spurs were always going to have this patient attacking build-up, but they just couldn't break us down. And at one point, after Lamela came off, they had Eriksen, Giovanni Lo Celso, Son, Lucas Moura and Harry Kane on the same pitch, and they couldn't break us down. They couldn't break down a team that Pukki scored a hat-trick against last week. That's defensive muscle memory. That's Rafa's legacy. But well done to Steve Bruce. Well done to Steve Bruce for not being stubborn and pig-headed and thinking his way is best without evidence and not learning from mistakes. He learned from his mistakes. He's played the right team today. He started the right players today. And we came away with a victory that is going to be absolutely huge in our fight for survival this season. By no means is it the answer to everything. I kind of want to temper expectations. It's brilliant, don't get us wrong. But we don't want to get complacent to think, oh, well, you beat Spurs, we can beat anyone. No, hard work every single week. You've got to do your research on each team coming up. Watford are in a terrible place at the minute. We should go there, back at St James's Park, and batter the shite out of them. We really, really should. Having seen that performance today, it feels a lot more solid. And we feel like a team who knows what they're doing. We're getting the basics right. That's what we did best today. We knew we weren't going to get possession, but we did the basics right, and that's why we got the victory that we want. The Harry Kane penalty shout went to VAR, no penalty. I think as much as Lascelles is sort of using his head to go across Kane's path, I think Kane's leaning into. I think Kane knows what's going on. He's trying to buy it too much, and Kane almost stops and leans into Lascelles. Actually, if you saw one of the angles, so I'm not worried about that. Lucas Moura had a couple of chances which he could have buried on another day because he is capable of that, but he couldn't manage it. Dubravka, relatively solid. There was a couple of crosses where I thought, especially that Lucas Moura chance in the first half, which he should have done better with. So there are a few shaky bits to iron out, but I think this gives us such a good grounding. I'm so pleased for Joelinton, honestly. Big Joe with his first goal for Newcastle United, and to silence the home crowd. What a day, man! What a day to be a Geordie. We've had to suffer some awful football the last couple of weeks. Let's hope this is the start of something meaningful and something with a bit of longevity that can just keep us out of danger for this season. I hope so. I want it. I want it to work. Of course I do. But well done to Steve Bruce for realising the error of his ways and putting out a team in a formation with shape, with roles and responsibilities that they're used to. You know, he needs all the crutches he can get, and leaning on something that was successful last season and putting his pride aside is definitely the start. It's definitely the beginnings of something. I've been Alan. This has been True Faith's Full-Time Whistle. Don't forget to subscribe. What a victory at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We absolutely battered them in the end. 1-0, up the mag, get in Joelinton. I've been Alan. We'll see you later. Bye, bye.